So that commitment to the individual student experience is, I think, what small colleges bring to the educational environment. We're not in competition. We are different from our R1 institutions.
Welcome to Small College America, a podcast dedicated to exploring the role and value of small colleges in the United States higher education landscape. I'm Kent Barnes, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dean Hoke, who's going to kick us off today.
Well, very good. Well, thank you, Kent. Today, we're going to dive into the challenges and opportunities facing small college with someone who's been at the forefront of academic leadership, and that's Dr. Paige Turner. Dr. Turner serves as Provost and Executive Vice President at Aurora University, located in Aurora, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. Before joining Aurora in July of 2024, she spent 6 years as Dean of College of Communication, Information, and Media at Ball State University. Dr. Turner began her higher education career at St. Louis University in 1998. Kent, I thought you'd like to know that. An experienced higher education administrator and communication scholar, Dr. Turner has an extensive background in gender in the workplace, strategic planning, mentoring, change management, budgeting, educational technology, and international education. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Oregon and a doctorate in communication from Purdue University. Paige, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you.
Dean, Kent, thank you so much for having me on. I want to meet that person you just described.
Talk about that after the show. We've got a commonality here between Kent and you about St. Louis. So why don't we go ahead and let's do a little bit of background on Aurora. I'm not sure some of the people will here in the Midwest may well know Aurora, but they may not be as well known in other parts of the country. So can you give us an overview of the institution and how it's evolved over the years?
Wonderful. Well, as you mentioned, we are located in Aurora, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And many people don't realize that the city of Aurora is the second largest city in the state of Illinois. So it is a substantial community. And actually, we also love the idea that it's named for the lights, right? We are literally the city of lights. And I see that reflected in what Aurora University does and our commitment to help find the light in each of our students. So we can trace our origins back to 1893, which was the founding of the Menai College, Illinois, and the Western Secretarial Institute in Wisconsin. And these two institutions merged, and they moved to the city of Aurora in 1912. And that's when we took on the name Aurora College. With the ending of World War II and veterans all coming back to our institutions, Aurora College was really innovative at the time, and they started an evening degree program. And that wasn't something that institutions were doing in 1912. And during that period of time, we saw our enrollment swell. We added additional programs, both what we might call traditional academic and professional programs, and our numbers continued to grow through the 1970s and 1980s. And in 1985, we became Aurora University. We currently have 3 colleges and 1 school: our College of Liberal Arts and Business, our College of Education, Social Work, our College of Health Sciences, and a School of Nursing. And we have approximately 6,000 students overall. About 1,900 of those are online, and we can talk a little bit about what our future looks like. Something I do want to mention, because we are part of the City of Lights and we're very proud of, in 2024, the university was named among the 20 most beautiful colleges campuses in the US by the US News and World Report. And that was primarily because of our commitment to sustainability. So I have a beautiful rain garden outside of my facilities, as well as our architecture and grounds and all of the settings that I get to enjoy every day, and so do our students.
Very good.
Thank you for that great overview of Aurora's history and what Aurora is today. The nature of this podcast really focuses on small colleges and their impact and their challenges. And many small colleges, particularly across the upper Midwest, have struggled with undergraduate enrollment and brand differentiation in a very competitive market. Yet Aurora has really bucked that trend, maintaining stable undergraduate enrollment over the course of the past few years. I think we'd love to know, and we know our listeners would love to know, what's the magic behind that? What strategies have been particularly effective in attracting and retaining students? And probably one of the things that we're most curious about in doing some research previously is Aurora's attraction to the Latino population, and what's behind that. So if you could help unpack that, that would be, I think, tremendously helpful to our listeners.
Well, absolutely, and probably not completely at the same time. Of course, the reason our students are attracted to us and stay with us is because we offer them programs that they see themselves in. And we have faculty who are incredibly dedicated to the student experience and intentional and thoughtful about what they do in the classroom. I have the pleasure as provost to review faculty evaluations and promotion documents and reading the level of commitment and thought that our faculty give to the students' experiences, going through every single student comment and then thinking about what can I do to make this experience better for this student is something that I haven't seen at a number of institutions that I've worked at or consulted with around the world. So that commitment to the individual student experience is, I think, what small colleges bring to the educational environment. We're not in competition. We are different from our R1 institutions. And I appreciate and celebrate and graduated from one of those institutions. Our primary focus, our only focus, is providing a quality experience for our students. I will also mention one of the things when you think about brand differentiation, our competition is not another institution. For our student population, the competition is no college. And I think that's a different mindset than when we think about I'm competing to the college down the street or I'm competing within the colleges in the state. Our students, because we track in clearinghouse data, means that they don't see college as really attainable for them. So we work very, very hard to partner with our community, partner with high schools to help them see that they can and should go to college. And it's a pathway that we want to make sure we remove any barriers from. An example of this is a direct admit program we have with our East Aurora High School. So any student graduating with a certain GPA requirements is immediately admitted into Aurora University. And one of the things that I really appreciate, President Rivera Mills talks about that what changed the trajectory of her life was someone in high school would say to her, when you go to college, not if you go to college. And we want to be the voice in our community that tells the students when you go to college and help them get there. I can talk a little bit more about our Latino population if you like as well. We are 48% Hispanic, but going back to when I say we meet our students where they are, our population in the city of Aurora is primarily Hispanic. So that is a reflection of the community in which we live in and the community in which we want to serve. And we do that regardless of the student. So for example, we have a Pathways program that's for our neurodivergent students. And we've built the only building in the United States specifically designed for neurodivergent students. Sound, lights, space. But that building is not available just for neurodiverse students. Other students who would benefit or want to be part of that experience get to live there too. So when we think about meeting the needs of one group of population, sometimes we think, oh, that's just for them. All of the research in higher education shows that when you meet the needs of a population or unique group or individual, it reverberates and it matches needs across your population. So for me, that is the secret, if you will, to what we do, is we are truly meeting our students where they are, whoever they are.
Thank you so much. One of the themes that we've heard in our various conversations is how important it is for small colleges to be aware of their place and serve in their place. And I can't think of a better example than what you've just provided in how Aurora reflects its hometown and serves its hometown in such a meaningful way. So thank you for that. Dean, I think you've got a question.
Well, I do, and I'd like to go, Paige, I'd like to go a little bit further into, you kind of have a dual methodology in terms of how you do traditional courses on campus, et cetera, in a beautiful community. But you also have a significant online population, it appears. And I'm really curious, can you give us some insight of how the online program developed? How did they go into this space? A bit of why, and tell us a little bit more about the more popular programs online.
Absolutely. So we currently have almost 2,000 students who are fully online. In addition, we are moving towards a more intentional hybrid campus, but the reality is that our students want a hybrid experience. Kent and Dean, we want a hybrid experience, right? I want to be able to have a Zoom conversation with someone and not have to drive across town all of it. Why wouldn't we think that our students want to have some flexibility and variation in their educational platforms as well? So we're seeing increasingly our on-campus students, if you will, signing up for hybrid or online experiences. So we're going to be looking at doing that more intentionally, which I can talk about in terms of our future planning going forward. But AU was really sort of ahead of the online bubble, if you will. We launched our partnership in online in 2012 with the Learning House. So we were saying we're going to be online in 2012. So we got there a little bit before the bubble. And we really experimented with a number of different programs. Some weren't successful. And that's one of the things I appreciate about a small college is our ability to be nimble and responsive and to not just cut something with an axe, but maybe sometimes to be a little more surgical about what we're going to take and transplant into a new area so it's able to survive. For example, we may have a program that we don't see enrollments reaching our targets, but we see 3 or 4 classes that are booming. And so we identify where those classes might serve majors. Can there be a certificate or micro-credential that can be part of that? So that has really helped us develop the scope of our online programs and shift as things flow. Our largest programs are our undergraduate and graduate social work and business programs. We have had our George Williams School of Social Work has a national reputation for excellence. And many of we have a number of out-of-state students who enroll in that because it is an accredited MSW program. And what really is heartwarming is we see that individuals who enroll in our online programs are doing it because someone graduated from our program and recommended. Now, when someone says, I had a good experience and I am willing to pass on my reputation, my endorsement to a friend or a colleague, to me, that is our goal, right? Because we are literally changing their lives to the point that they want to give that gift to somebody else in their life.
Absolutely. I mean, what a great way to think about that word of mouth. There's nothing more powerful and there's nothing more confirming and affirming than somebody saying, I had a great experience. I hope you'll have the same. So I think that's especially important for smaller colleges that maybe don't have the television coverage that Division I basketball team has or Division I football. So appreciate you making that point. You've referenced the importance of community a number of times and how important partnerships are. We'd love to hear your reflections on strong community, alumni connections, and how Aurora strengthens and fosters relationships with alumni and local community. And if there are examples of particular initiatives which have been especially impactful in building community around Aurora University.
So we are situated in a residential area. So we're landlocked. We can't go any further because we'll be in our neighbors' front yards. But thing we really do want is we want our neighbor in our front yard as well. So we have open campus events. When we have something on our campus for our arts and ideas, we invite everyone in the neighborhood to be part of it because we consider them to be part of our community. So that's one way in which we do. So open it up when we have music, when we have poetry readings, when we have guests. we are opening our campus to those individuals so they can be part of that. With our alumni, one of the things I think is very important, and sometimes we forget, is to create intentional opportunities for alumni to engage in ways that are meaningful to them. We oftentimes think of alumni giving or coming back to a football game. That may not be what's intentional or meaningful to that alumni. So we have worked very hard to create different intentional opportunities. For example, when we need or want a guest speaker, who is an expert that we can reach out to? And honestly, we reach out first to our alumni or our local community partners, somebody who is connected to us because they know who we are and they know who our students are. We want to also connect alumni in more robust ways, such as our mentoring program, so that every student will have a mentor in their junior and senior year, that we're talking about a career-ready mentor. In their freshman and sophomore years, we're building programs that will be college-ready mentoring programs, which may be a peer mentor or faculty or staff. We want our students to learn that there are multiple ways to have a mentor. And honestly, as your needs change, so should your mentors. That gives a more robust connection to the alumni, to our student population. They're committing to a year or two to work with that student and then help them launch into their career as well. When the president had her inauguration, she's been in her role for 18 months. We did not have a pomp and circumstance procession. She was inaugurated, and then we had 30 food trucks and a mariachi band play across the campus. We celebrate with our community, with our alumni, because we are joyful about the work we're doing, and we want them to be part of that celebration. We do also have formal advisory groups at each of our college levels so that the deans are talking with both community members and alumni who have gone through the program. So they're constantly reflecting back and forth. And then our president has a President's Advisory Council of External Relations, where she invites individuals who can help shape the future of Aurora University and align with some of these larger enterprise concerns that we're seeing in the workforce development. One other way we engage with our community is we know that workforce development in the pipeline is a real top of mind for many of our partners in the community. Nursing, technology, the digital trades, these are areas that companies are looking for hiring pipelines. So working with those organizations on internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, and then maybe even a commitment to work for a certain period of time upon graduation. So they're getting, I hate to use the term, but first dibs at our best students and individuals that they can then recruit and become part of their organizations. So thinking about that holistically and thinking about it as mutually beneficial is really, really key for us.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about you and your movement in this. As you had mentioned, you've come from larger universities. I mean, you've been at R1s, you've been at Oregon, you were at SLU, you were at, and of course, Ball State, where we first met. I'm very curious about, I want to try to get a sense of the difference between a larger state university and a smaller private. And what attracted you to move? You were a very successful dean at Ball State. I know that for a fact. You did a great job over there. But I'm curious about what attracted you. And so far, you've been at this now for a little less than a year. I'm kind of curious what some of the surprises are. What have you learned? Tell us all about that.
So I say that my path has not been linear, and that's actually something I really like about my life. I have always tried to do what I could where I was and learn and grow. And then if something came in front of me that allowed me to grow further or to further my mission that I'll talk about in a second, I wanted to be prepared and ready to take advantage of that. But not because it's the next step in a progression, but because it was meaningful to who I am and what I wanted to do. So I'll be honest, I was a a graduate director and never a department chair. And then I was a vice provost. And then I was a faculty member. And then I was an associate dean. And then I left the university sitting and was an executive director for an organization. Then I came back as a dean, and now I'm a provost, and I never am going to be a president. That's not anywhere near my goal, because what I find so fulfilling is when I can feed two birds with one seed. When I can see a situation where we can make something better for two groups of individuals, or two groups, and I am always looking for that opportunity where I can make that happen. Aurora University shares the mission. We talk about we're a private institution with a public mission. Every university I have ever worked at, be a state university, large or small, is devoted to that public mission. And that's the only type of university I would ever want to work at. So Aurora offered me an opportunity to fulfill that mission, to have my husband come back and be part of Chicago, and for me to work at a provost level or enterprise level to directly affect the academic mission and support our faculty to better serve our students. When I left higher education, I worked for an organization that served the faculty, but it wasn't that direct support that I felt. I didn't feel like I was feeding any birds. And now sometimes I feel like I have a flock of birds coming to my office and I'm trying to feed all of them at once. I need more bird seed. Dean, you got any bird seed for me?
Well, I would like to go further, though, in terms of particularly this first year. What new things have you learned? What have been surprises? Again, you're going from different environments. I mean, I know Muncie pretty well, but I'm kind of curious what you've experienced during this first year. Have you found some surprises? Are there things you go, oh, I didn't know that?
What the first thing is that I was not surprised about who Aurora University was and how they would respond to me. And that to me speaks highly to their integrity and their ability to conduct what I call what's called a realistic job interview and preview. So often we have that shock of, oh, this isn't what I thought. I didn't expect this. They were very clear about where the opportunities were and where the challenges and the need for support was. So I was surprised that I was not surprised about who they were and the honesty, integrity that they had shared with me about what I would face. What was surprising to me, Dean, you know me, I move at 240 miles an hour. And I can't move fast enough as provost to manage everything that has coming on my plate. In part because when you change universities or you change positions, it takes me 3 times longer to figure out how to do something. So I think as individuals who are looking at changing positions, to account for that sort of lag time in executing and identifying who should be part of that conversation is a really important thing in setting expectations for yourself and for your community. I also think it's really important that you are honest about, I don't know how to do this, or what is this? And thanking people for educating you. Because as a provost, there's a positional authority that oftentimes people feel uncomfortable telling you basically how to do your job. I can't survive if they don't, because I don't know the systems, I don't know the people at the university. So expressing gratitude and inviting people in has been really, really helpful to me as well. I figure I laugh because people say that I am moving fairly quickly, but I feel like I'm on slow mode right now.
I really appreciate that awareness that you just described and how important that is. We've got one last question for you, Paige. I'm going to ask you, or we're going to ask you to take out your crystal ball and look a little bit into the future. What do you see as the biggest opportunities as well as challenges facing small colleges like Aurora in the next decade? And what is Aurora doing, and what should other small colleges be doing to prepare? One of your previous comments about the real competition is not going to college at all, I think is so relevant to this conversation. Those non-consumptive students I think we've overlooked them, generally speaking. But tell us about the future that you see.
Ken, I really appreciate your, comment about, we've overlooked those students who don't see themselves going to college. One of the challenges we're all facing is what's the value of higher education? And I am really concerned about the narrative that is out in our world and communities. Higher education is not for everyone. And we know from research that your ability to increase your earning, to create generational wealth, and also just personal happiness are all tied to your ability to gain, I'm sorry, not ability, but gaining and getting degrees that help you be successful, particularly four-year degrees. In addition, according to the Council of Graduate Studies, that people are projecting that they'll need a master's degree to be successful. And if we're not even starting them to get their bachelor's degree, and they're saying, oh, we see a master's degree being successful, we are setting them up to not succeed and not obtain the goals that they themselves are saying for themselves. One of the things is this perception of elitism that is coming around to having a college degree. Individuals will say, oh, you think you know so much because you've got a college degree. And I know things differently. And I do know things that I'm an expert in. Believe me, you don't want me performing surgery and you don't want me fixing your car. But if you want me to look at how we're using communication to construct or reflect a world, and is that a world that we want to live in? I am an expert at that, and I am very proud of that. And I think we need to celebrate and recognize that expertise. We also need to acknowledge that individuals who have obtained degrees are encouraging their kids to go get degrees and supporting their children to get degrees. So the question becomes, what are we doing in creating equity and opportunity when we're providing dual messages at a larger level? So for us, the opportunity is to help our students or potential students ask the question, when you go to college, and to help them see that this is an investment in the future. I am so proud that Aurora University is one of the most affordable private institutions. And when you look at the support we're able to provide our students, not going to say many, but a percentage of our students attend at no cost at all to themselves because of Pell Grants and other appropriations that we're able to provide them. If you go to college and you graduate with the cost of a car, $30,000, let's say, to me, that is a reasonable investment in your future. And we need to provide that narrative out there so people understand it is an investment. It is not a burden.
Very good. Well, Paige, I'm afraid we're running out of time. And I want to thank you very much for coming on today, telling us some more about Aurora, but also a lot about you and your personal philosophy and how you take that approach. I find it commendable. I find it refreshing. And I want to thank you for that. And for those listening, if you'd like to learn more about Small College America, please visit our website at www.smallcollegeamerica.transistor.fm, where you can find details about upcoming episodes, contact us, suggest topics, things you would like us to continue to cover. And make sure to subscribe, and you could do it on Apple or any of the other traditional podcasting systems, and leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. For Small College America, I'm Dean Hoke, and on behalf of Kent Barnes and, of course, Paige Turner, thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.